Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of AADYA Geo Talks. I'm your host Bharti Sharma, geologist and founder of AADYA Planetary and Geoscience Research. I wanted to create a space for Earth and planetary science people. So last year, AADYA Geo Talks was born. And I have interviewed many people from different fields who are related to Earth and planetary science. I have interviewed space journalists, space tech founders, or geologists, geophysicists, people who have worked in Antarctica, who are working in Greenhab, who are working as an analog astronaut. So to continue the spirit, today I would like to welcome our guest, Mr. Anirudh Sharma, who is a science communicator, a STEM educator. He holds a master's degree in astronomy and astrophysics. Apart from STEM education and science communication, he also uploads regular updates on his social media profile related to astronomy and astrophysics. So basically sparking the knowledge, distributing the knowledge. He's passionate about science, which is quite evident in his lectures and workshops he holds for his students. He wants to instill a love for science and a thirst for knowledge in his future students. That is so bright of you, and that is so humble of you. So, Anirudh, thank you so much for accepting the invite to be our guest on AADYA Geo Talks. How are you?
I'm doing really fine. And as you mentioned, the workshops are going on and I'm enjoying it. Some of the questions that I get are really interesting. And it's like really interesting to see that when I was the age the students are, I didn't know about these topics and how fast these kids are learning. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, that is true. Even I was interviewing one person, and she organizes these workshops like for primary school students and secondary school students. And she realized, okay, you know what, Bharti, when I was at their age, I didn't know anything about geology or planetary geology, and these kids are getting all the information at their fingertips, and that is so good for them. And like, I want to ask you this question. Like she also mentioned, and I have also experienced this, when students are in their primary school or when they are like 12 years or 10 years old, they have more curiosity for topics. And when they get older, like in their 11th or 12th standard, or when they are in college, their curiosity dies. Is it true?
So I would say it's kind of true because like I've seen the peak in curiosity around the age that is like 13 to 14 years old, because at that point of time the students start to understand the concepts of science or other related subjects like maths. They start to understand it. But what, like, the schools are meant to teach everyone on a same level.
Yeah.
But some of the students are really interested in the topic and some are not at all. So the ones who are really interested, they already read the books and they have already watched the video. So when the lecture is going on, there is nothing new for them. And
Yeah.
eventually their curiosity kind of dwindles down. And that is sad. But I think the approaches that we are taking and the approaches that teachers are also adapting, that I really hope that would improve the scenario.
या दैट इज ट्रू. मतलब तुम ये हम ये इससे देख सकते हैं कि जब लाइक दे आर इन 9th और 10th स्टैंडर्ड, दे हैव ऑलरेडी सिलेक्टेड देयर फील्ड कि इसी फील्ड में जाना है और इसी से रिलेटेड सारा कुछ पढ़ लेते हैं. तो मतलब देयर एनर्जी इज समवॉट कि इसी डायरेक्शन में हम जाएंगे, एंड फिर बाकी सब चीजों से उनका इंटरेस्ट खत्म हो जाता है. एंड ऑन द अदर हैंड प्राइमरी स्कूल में लाइक सब कुछ जानना है, सब कुछ पता होना चाहिए, एंड कुछ भी क्वेश्चंस पूछेंगे, हमारे सामने आ रही है नॉलेज तो विल ग्रास्प इट, ऐसा वाला एक रहता है उनका. या आई एग्री विद दिस. So to begin this interview, we already begin, but just to ignite the conversation, I want to know, what was the moment when you thought, okay, this is my field, the astronomy or astrophysics, I want to go in this direction. Like, what was that one moment that really sparks your passion? And which night, मतलब अब तुम astronomy astrophysics में हो तो तुमने कभी तो night sky पूरा देखा होगा, be it in Ladakh or be it somewhere else. So what was the moment कि okay, I want to actually go there and solve these mysteries? So what was that initial spark or moment, that eureka moment?
I mean, to be honest, I don't think there was one single moment. कोई like ऐसा नहीं था कि मतलब अच्छा अब से astronomy ही करना है, because I was always interested in science in general. Like it used to be zoology as well, and chemistry as well, and physics as well.
Mm.
But like I used to watch these shows of like National Geographic, in that they have documentary on lions or like cheetahs. So ये सब
Mm.
documentary वगैरह देख के I used to get really interested. My grandfather would be watching a documentary and I would just sit there. तो उससे ही बहुत curiosity थी मेरे दिमाग में. But when I started to like actively search for content, right?
Mm.
तो उस टाइम पे मैंने सोचा कि मैं क्या देखना चाहता हूँ, मैं क्या करना चाहता हूँ. And at that point of time, I stumbled on these shows like Neil deGrasse Tyson's Cosmos.
Yeah.
So I am from a newer generation. We are from a newer generation, right? So
Mm.
we have not watched Carl Sagan that much,
Yeah,
but
that's
we
true.
have more of like modern science communicators like Neil
Mm.
deGrasse Tyson. तो
Mm.
उन सबको हमने देखा है. And seriously, the way these communicators like explain stuff, that's really interesting, first of all. So I think एक credit तो उनको भी जाता है.
Yeah.
Then after that, I also watched this Morgan Freeman show, Through the Wormhole. There was a
Mm.
lot of different variety of topics. Then there was Stephen Hawking show. It was like really famous,
Mm.
and I don't exactly remember the name, but
Even I don't, but I know with the
yeah,
show
yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about.
So we both know what
Yeah,
we're talking about,
but
right?
now याद नहीं है.
So उस show में basically there were some bits of his own book, The Brief History of Time, right?
Yeah,
So there were
exactly.
some excerpts from that book. और मुझे उससे मतलब इतना वो आने लग गया ना, like curiosity आने लग गई कि आगे क्या हो सकता है. Like he was talking about time travel, and till that point of time when he did not, it was science fiction for me, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And he started to talk about time travel, and my mind was blown. Like, okay, you're proving that past time travel is not possible and future is possible. So
mm.
he was proving all that, and वो मेरे लिए काफी ऐसा था कि my God, what's happening? You remember that meme where the person goes like this
Goes like
to the
that.
galaxy? So I think these shows were the main catalyst, kind of.
Yeah, same here because I remember मतलब मेरा first initial spark was when I was in fourth or fifth standard and उसमें दो chapters थे like continuously थे वो. एक था about the alien life. I don't know, it was a story from a big novel. I don't actually remember because it was in
Okay,
NCERT और वो हमेशा छोटे छोटे excerpts ही लेते थे. So it was
true.
about that कि Martian life है and aliens आ गए हैं, सब कुछ तो था. And the other next chapter was on Kalpana Chawla. So I knew it कि I have to do something in universe and space science. And जब भी हम chapters पढ़ते थे तो like end chapters were of space science or universe made in physics or general science books. So I used to love these things. So मुझे पता था कि मुझे space science में ही जाना है. But then I started, yeah, I totally relate to it. मैंने Carl Sagan नहीं देखा. मुझे हमेशा उनके quotes दिखते हैं जो मैं Instagram पर देखती हूँ. But I actually haven't seen any of his
I mean,
videos.
now I have watched his clips, but like when I
हाँ मतलब
started,
वो
it was all
Instagram पे
Neil
सब.
deGrasse Tyson and Morgan Freeman with his deep voice
Yeah.
and Stephen Hawking. So it
मुझे
was all
वही पता था एंड आई डोंट नो व्हाई बट शायद मैं जब 8 9 स्टैंडर्ड में थी आई यूज्ड टू बिलीव नील deGrasse Tyson इज द कार्ल सेगन बिकॉज हमेशा उन्हीं के साथ उनके कोट्स आते रहते थे तो आई थॉट ओके मे बी ही इज द वन लेटर आई गॉट टू नो ओके नहीं नहीं डिफरेंट डिफरेंट पर्सन है एंड दे आर ऑल साइंस कम्युनिकेटर्स एंड उनकी वजह से मुझे और ज्यादा वीडियोस देखने को मिली एंड येस आई आल्सो स्टार्टेड वाचिंग एस्ट्रोनॉमी वीडियोस बट लेटर इन माय लाइफ आई रियलाइज्ड ओके आई वांट टू डू समथिंग एल्स सो आई got into aeronautical engineering and then I realized okay this is not my field and then I landed in earth science. Another whole story for another day, but yeah, I relate to it. When we watch these shows, it actually sparks curiosity in it ki, okay, what is out there. So that's why I believe those people जो बहुत ज्यादा एडवोकेसी करते हैं कि you know space science या जो भी चीज हम बच्चों में देखना चाहते हैं नेक्स्ट जनरेशन में देखना चाहते हैं उसको पॉप कल्चर से रिलेट करो जितना वो देखेंगे बिकॉज दिस इज समथिंग इंटरेस्टिंग जितना वो देखेंगे उतना दे विल फील लाइक ओके वी वांट टू एक्सप्लोर मोर सो
indeed.
we are good examples for that because we ended up in this field
Yes,
because of these
exactly.
shows.
The
So
plan worked basically.
yeah, exactly. So to continue this conversation, you I mean, I haven't seen the workshops live, but I have seen the post you have posted on workshops, and then I've seen the comments by your students on those LinkedIn posts. And because of a really good friend of mine, I got to know that you have a really incredible way of breaking down complex astronomy concepts.
Thank you for the
बिकॉज
praise.
तुम लाइक what I have heard about you कि एक बहुत difficult concept को भी you will explain like, and even if you are an expert, like if you are teaching to an expert, you will teach him like, you know, तुम 5 साल के बच्चे हो, I'll explain it to a very simple basic manner. तो वो चीज मुझे तुम्हारे बारे में बहुत सुनने को मिली, and you know it's in a very appreciative way कि you know he'll break all the different difficult concepts in a very सिंपलर मैनर कि कोई भी किसी भी एज ग्रुप का, किसी भी एक्सपर्ट लेवल का वो समझ सकता है. सो आई वुड लाइक टू नो हाउ डू यू मैनेज टू कीप थिंग्स एंगेजिंग. लाइक आई नो when you are dealing as a science communicator or STEM educator as well, you have a broad audience. STEM education
Yep.
में एक चीज डायरेक्ट है कि they are all students, but when it comes to science communication, different age group,
Indeed.
sometimes curiosity भी नहीं होती. You have to spark that curiosity in that. So how do you deal with these things, and how do you engage with people, and especially in India जहाँ पे science communication is actually a very new field, not many people are doing it as a full-time thing.
So, like when you talk about how to spark that curiosity, कि मतलब वो फायर कैसे किसी के अंदर लगाएं कि भाई वो सामने वाला शायद नोटिस भी नहीं करेगा. So I learned this from YouTubers actually. So there are multiple channels like Vsauce or like Veritasium. If you have watched, I don't know, but there are these. They are basically filmmakers,
Yeah.
but they focus on science. So one trick that they use is they would put a kind of a fact that basically blows your mind, and then they keep on explaining till you get to that fact. Basically, like I still remember one video of that channel. उसमें क्या था ना, that guy started to speak like there was a point in time in history of the universe when universe was expanding faster than the speed of light.
Yeah.
And accelerating at that. And he said that time is today. And वो मेरे लिए इतना वो था ना, like I was still exploring the field of science and astronomy, of course. So I was still exploring, and the way he put for that information, तो वो एक तरीका हो जाता है ऑडियंस को हुक करने का. And like if you can show them some kind of a demonstration or some kind of an experiment, that is a short way to get the attention. You know, like I've taught mostly 8th, 9th, 10th, and these standards basically. And obviously I have done for the elder audience as well, like college students or students who are from a different field. I've done for them as well, but for them it's more detailed content, more mature content, you can say. When I have to break it down for students, I have to keep experiments in mind. So if I don't do anything and I keep on explaining, they would lose interest. But
Yeah.
if I have a laser light in my hand and I point it at a DVD or something, and when it shows diffraction, they start going, oh wow. And so like the best way for me to do that is with analogies and experiments. So experiments I find obviously on internet, and some of them I have already like learned in my course as well. तो जब मैं मास्टर्स भी कर रहा था तो काफी टीचर्स ने मेरे को एक कुछ ना कुछ तरीका बताया समझने का. Like one of our teacher approached the topic of scale of the universe. So he would give us one question every day that we have to do in 5 minutes, and that question is not exactly to solve something. वो कुछ भी ऐसे random हो सकता था. Like you have to basically try and draw अर्थ एंड मून ऑन अ शीट ऑफ पेपर, एंड अगर आप उसको दूर से देखें तो वो कैसा लगेगा. लाइक what would be the image a satellite captures of earth and moon.
Okay.
So as astronomy students we knew that ki distances जो होते हैं in astronomical objects के बीच में, they are very huge, right? We knew that, but still majority of us got that wrong. क्योंकि वो जो distance है, if the earth is like this small, the distance between earth and moon is 44 centimeters. Like it's not even like it's not possible to draw on a single sheet of paper, right?
Paper, yeah.
Either you have to draw a diagonal or you have to use 2 sheets of paper.
Yeah.
So these are kind of ways that our teachers taught us.
Hmm.
And उसके बाद like वो मैं incorporate करता हूँ एक तो. दूसरा, जितने भी साइंस कम्युनिकेटर है ना,
Hmm.
उन्होंने कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा लाइक फॉर अ कॉम्प्लेक्स टॉपिक,
Hmm.
उन्होंने कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा एक टॉपिक पकड़ा और उसको कॉम्प्लेक्स को इजी करने के लिए उन्होंने कोई ना कोई एक डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन या एनालॉजी ऐसी दी है
Hmm.
दैट मेक्स इट सो सिंपल टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड इट लाइक इन 2 minutes ओनली. जो कि आपको शायद कोर्स लग सकता है कि अच्छा ये,
हाँ.
इफ यू जस्ट रीड इट यू
हाँ.
वोंट गेट इट,
Yeah.
but the way they explain it you will get it immediately. And I approach my science communication like you approach art. So you
Hmm.
basically study multiple sources and
Yeah.
then you make a collaboration and then you make it into your own kind of a thing.
Hmm.
So I guess if you have good analogies and good experiments to show, the people
Hmm.
are interested to listen.
Hmm.
Baki, that's all practice and stuff.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, yes, with the experiments, and because when I organize these workshops, मैं बहुत बार नहीं experiment पूरा लेकर जा सकती, तो I used to watch these YouTube videos कि कौन सा मैं उन्हें live दिखा सकती हूँ and कौन सा मुझे YouTube के through दिखाना होगा. तो what I have realized कि हर एक डिफिकल्ट से डिफिकल्ट टॉपिक के लिए सम साइंटिस्ट और सम प्रोफेसर हैज डन दैट एक्सपेरिमेंट.
Yes,
तो या तो आप उसे कॉपी कर सकते हो या आप एग्जैक्टली वही दिखा सकते हो या फिर यू कैन क्रिएट ऑन योर ओन इंस्पायर फ्रॉम देम. So actually, yeah, these experiments do help us. And I remember one of our workshop in Ladakh, we were explaining the mountain building activity of Himalayas, कि origin कैसे हुई थी. And बहुत ज्यादा एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन के बाद रियलाइज हो गया हमें बहुत ज्यादा एडवांस नहीं जाना है. वी विल गो विद द क्ले मॉडलिंग. हमने बस क्ले को इधर से इधर लेके गए एंड वो फोल्ड्स डेवलप हो गए, कई जगह पे ट्रैक्स डेवलप हो गए. तो वी एक्सप्लेन द हिमालयन फॉर्मेशन एंड लाइक वाओ,
that's
दैट
good.
इज इजी, दैट इज कूल. एंड they were like people from BTech and MTech people,
Mhm.
and they were like, wow, this is cool यार, हमें नहीं पता था. And I thought कि easy तो है, but then I realized I'm coming from a geology background, they are coming from
Exactly.
totally different background. For them this is something new and something big. So I totally get it when you say कि हाँ, experiments do help. And हर जगह से सीखते रहो, be it YouTube, be it Instagram, कहीं से भी. But yeah, people are doing really good job with science communication these days. So coming on to next topic, I want to showcase your educator side in this and a communicator side in this. Everyone is talking about T Corona Borealis, which is really a fascinating topic. So these dead star that's going to light up like the North Star. So when you think about these rare events like that, do you feel that we are so lucky to witness it in our lifetime, or what's the magic behind these once in a lifetime celestial events for you? So how
So
does it
like,
feel? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, seriously हम काफी लकी हैं because
Mm.
like आप कोई भी इवेंट अगर आप देखो, even eclipse is very rare, like it comes like once like a proper complete eclipse, that's
Mm.
very rare. It comes in like 2-3 years or something.
Mm.
And when you talk about events like these, when a star is brightening up or there is a supernova,
Mm.
these are like really really like rare events
Mm.
because the universe is so big that
Yeah.
the light that is coming from these events
Mm.
would not reach us always.
Yeah.
So we have a limited range that we can observe from
Mm.
our naked eyes.
Mm.
Obviously, हमने telescope बना लिया, we have
Mm.
sent Voyager telescope,
Mm.
so we have that.
Mm.
But if you want to see it with your naked eyes, it's a rare thing.
Mm.
And it has happened in human history that we have witnessed some kind of a supernova or something. We know
Mm.
this because there were recordings in paintings as well, and some kind of text that there was a blast in the sky or something, right? तो ऐसे हमारे पास records हैं. So
Mm.
they do help us कि अच्छा ऐसा कुछ हुआ था. But to be able to see that in your own lifetime, it's very rare. And obviously काफी interesting लगता है to understand what's going on and how is this happening कि यार like magnitude जो वो star का है, it was
Mm.
less before and it's increasing.
Yeah.
And to know why it's increasing, it's incredible, like a lot of star systems are in general binary or more than two.
Mm.
I mean, sun is like a solo player, but there are mostly binary stars or like 3 or 4 stars together.
Yeah.
and eventually either one of them like flies away or something, or if they stay in a binary, something interesting happens. So one of the star has already died and the
Yeah.
other one has kind of expanded. So why this expansion happens is because at the end the fuel inside the core, जो core burn हो रहा था, that has stopped burning to a certain point. So it needs more of energy to burn, but the area outside the core, just outside the core, there would be pressure enough to now start fusing hydrogen and making helium. So उससे हमारे पास और फ्यूल जो है वो कोर के बाहर आ गया. अब वो कोर के बाहर वाला फ्यूल पुश कर रहा है स्टार को टू ग्रो बिगर. Now there is a dead star here with a good amount of gravity, and there was originally a star who started to expand and like go out of the boundary that was safe for it. So now the other star is kind of eating up the material of the other star. So the first star is eating up who's dead, the dead star. It's eating up the material of the other star, the red giant. And to understand this and to see this in like in person, like it's really valuable. Even I have not seen aurora, and I wish to see aurora, and these are even events like that happen on a daily basis almost. So if you go on Norway or Finland or something, so there you can see them almost daily, but it's not visible here, right? So the rarity makes it very special.
That is true.
Like it also sparks kind of a curiosity. So like even those people who don't look up in the sky, when there is some event like this, they start to just go out with a camera or a binocular and they like, okay, what's going on? I have to see. And that's really fun.
Because apart from like blue sky or dark sky, they are able to see colors. तो एक अलग ही होता है कि है क्या, क्यों हुआ, कैसे हुआ.
Exactly.
तो ये चीज रेयर है. एंड यस, एज यू मेंशन कि अभी वो डेली बेसिस पे हो रहा है, बट इट इज स्टिल रेयर. तो समवन फ्रॉम द ट्रॉपिक्स विल गो टू पोलर रीजन एंड दे विल सी द aurora, they will be like, okay, ये कुछ नया है, ये कुछ अलग है, हमें daily basis.
I mean, also there is the fact कि हम city में रहते हैं, so there is a lot of light pollution, right? Because जो light ऊपर आना necessary नहीं है, उससे भी ज़्यादा आती रहती है, and there are some like party areas or malls who like beam light into the sky. I don't know for what reasons.
Yeah.
But they do that, and they basically make the night sky into a pale canvas. Like if you switch off all the lights, it's so beautiful. You know, some of my friends got to go to an observatory and they sent me pictures, and I was so jealous. Like, why can't I go there? Because they were able to see the Milky Way arm. That like obviously we know Akash Ganga hai and Milky Way dikhta hai, but we don't see that, right? Because it's rare because we live in a city and we have all the facilities here. But if you have the opportunity to go, please go and see these things, because आप normally एक constellation भी देखते हो ना, उसमें भी you can get to notice a lot of things if you have some kind of binocular or a telescope. If you see simply Orion, it's one of the most recognizable constellation, Orion. There are 3 stars in a line and then 4 stars around it. So it's one of the most recognizable. If you see by zooming into the Orion, there are nebulas, like multiple nebulas in that constellation. And then there are a cluster of stars, और वहाँ पे Andromeda आपको दिख सकता है बड़े आराम से, right? So that's really interesting, because the first time I saw, I was in Belgium. I was doing my studies. तो मैं वहाँ पे था और मेरे दोस्त के साथ मैं गया, and luckily that friend brought his binoculars. And when I started to look at Andromeda, it was like, okay, I see something, but I don't get it. And when I put on the binoculars, it was like, wow, like this is something that I've been waiting for.
Yeah, I agree, because like I have been fortunate enough कि मैं geology में हूँ, and most of my field areas in remote location, be it in Ladakh or एकदम distant part of Himalayas और राजस्थान, तो हमेशा night sky दिखता ही है. But जब दिल्ली से उधर जाती हूँ ना, तो जो first night होगा, बेशक इतने साल हो गए जियोलॉजी में, बट आई स्टिल फील, ओह वाओ, कितने सारे stars हैं. And I remember because I can't relate to what you are feeling with the Andromeda because मैंने naked eye से ही देखा था लद्दाख में, and I was like there is something, and my sir told me okay this is Andromeda और क्या होगा. I'm like okay I don't know but हाँ मैंने in detail इतना ज़्यादा नहीं उसे देखा नहीं पढ़ा है, but हाँ जब मैंने first time उसे naked eye से भी देखा तब भी मुझे लगा कि okay this is something different and I am able to see Andromeda. What excited me most about the night sky in Ladakh or in Utah as well कि जब हम ISS देख रहे होते थे that वो मुझे बहुत अलग लगा क्योंकि this is something you know moving. There are people living at ISS
Yes,
and
yes.
they're watching us and we are watching them, so that was something exciting for me. Galaxies के बारे में yes maybe when I'll see it with binoculars or some telescope I'll be able to contemplate more कि okay अब मुझे
For
ज़्यादा
sure.
समझ आ रही है. अभी with naked eye I feel like okay yeah great बहुत सुंदर है like
If you look through binoculars, you can even kind of make out the moons of Jupiter, you know, like
okay
the four bigger moons of Jupiter. If you like look, if you're in a remote enough area and you look through binoculars and you really pay attention, you can make out 2 or 3 moons of Jupiter, and that's really like fascinating because that kind of was a first proof that Earth is not the center of universe, right?
बस yeah. ऑल्सो आई रिमेम्बर जब भी इवेंट्स होते हैं कि जुपिटर मार्स एंड अर्थ एक लाइन में आ रहा है तो वो मुझे इधर दिल्ली में भी दिख जाता है थैंक गॉड. बट जब मैं रिमोट एरिया पे और ऐसा कुछ इवेंट होता है लाइक आई वाज इन उत्तराखंड फॉर ड्यूरिंग दिस इवेंट जब मरकरी जुपिटर एंड मार्स एक लाइन में थे ऐसा कुछ था वो इवेंट लाइक इन 2023. So if you remember, you can tell me.
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, उस टाइम मुझे बहुत क्लियरली दिखा लाइक दिल्ली में ओके 3 spots बट आई वाज इन उत्तराखंड रिमोट एरिया तो अगेन वो बहुत क्लियरली दिख रहा था कि ओके देयर इज something happening over there and it was actually very incredible or really good for my eyes. So coming to our next question, I am going to talk about a comet and you are going to explain a little bit more on this. So I have read a news about this comet that hasn't been seen since the Neanderthals, and that is something like incredible. Neanderthals के साथ relationship है terrestrial sky का. So how do you feel like? Would you like to comment on comet C203? Which is really good for both astronomers and general public, and how you feel like we are reconnecting the universe with some ancient way to these comets reappear because वो पहले Neanderthals के time पे दिखा and अब वो अभी दिखने वाला है.
I mean, it's really interesting, and it really connects us because you know the reason for that is simply that the path of comet is very long. That's the obvious reason. But when you realize कि यार इतने साल हो गए, it's been such a long time, then you start to realize कि हमारा जो solar system वो इतना बड़ा है तो galaxy कितनी बड़ी होगी, and then you start to realize all that. And then there is the thing about that events that happened so long that we take it for granted, right? And then you realize कि अच्छा ये यहाँ से comet आ रहा है, like there is an asteroid belt, but there is also a bigger kind of a belt for asteroids outside of the gas giants, where there are like other dwarf planets like Pluto or something, and then there is a cloud of asteroids. So these objects are coming from so far away, and yet we are able to see it in our lifetime. वो काफी interesting है एक तो. Obviously वो general audience को खींच रहा था because it's interesting enough to see a comet light up like in the sky. It's really a sight to behold, and all that. But it's also like kind of a reminder like how old the universe is, and कि कितना vast है हमारा universe, कितना बड़ा है हमारा universe. And when I say that universe is so old and so all this stuff, so you can see the rings of Saturn, right? And rings of Saturn are even like very new relatively.
Also, I would like you to explain this concept as well about comet C2023 कि मतलब वो Neanderthals के टाइम पे दिखा and वो दोबारा भी दिख रहा है तो उसका path था कैसे and ये मतलब like is it the rarest of the rare event या ऐसा हमें और भी ऐसी चीजें दिख सकते हैं कि वो कभी like dinosaurs के टाइम पे आया होगा and वो अब चीज दिख रही है. So if you can explain this part me तो
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a really, really rare event because itne saal baad wo aa raha hai. So it's
Hmm.
rare, of course. But it is a possibility that we can see an event that is even rarer than that.
Okay.
And uh, I remember talking about supernova, I guess. So I was
Yeah.
talking कि supernova हमें दिखा है. But supernova is only visible to us because it's so immensely bright.
Yeah.
Otherwise वो हमें दिखता भी नहीं. So I
Hmm.
think supernova would be an event that's like a sight to behold. And I think if I'm correct, there are some predictions, but the error on that prediction is very huge.
Hmm.
So you can see one of the star of the Orion constellation
Hmm.
that might blast into a supernova. You can see that either like in next couple of years or more than 100 years. So the error value is a lot, but still
Hmm.
it's fascinating to know it can happen.
Happen.
So I think
Okay.
that would be a really, really amazing thing to see because it would be visible also in the morning sky. So that would be really interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
The path of the comet. So basically, everything that's revolving around the sun has
Hmm.
some kind of an elliptical orbit.
Okay.
Earth has Earth's orbit is more leaning towards circle, and for most part, most of the planet have an orbit that leans towards more of a circular orbit.
Mm-hmm.
But these asteroids or comets, they have more of an elliptical orbit. So imagine that you draw a circle, but then you
Hmm.
stretch it out very long. So
Okay.
that's the kind of an orbit that these comets have.
Hmm.
And when the comet is reaching Earth, obviously it has ice and dust and stuff. So
Hmm.
when that evaporates, you see the trail. And when this comet goes near the sun, you see it, and then it goes away. And then there is this long kind of path. Also, one of the reason that Pluto got eliminated from the race of a planet because
Yeah.
it has a orbit that is very long and it crosses with Neptune.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, this comet is coming from same kind of a region,
Mm-hmm.
the outer asteroid belt, and it's coming with a very, very elliptical orbit, very angular kind of orbit.
Okay, so it is coming back to its original position जो वो नियमित hills के time पे
Yeah,
थी.
yeah, kind of.
Okay, that is a very rare event. So coming to our next question, जैसे तुमने बोला कि हमने predict किया है एक future event. So
Yeah.
is it this is possible because of the tech and AI advancement in astronomy? Am I right? So I know a lot has changed with tech and AI coming into astronomy and astrophysics, and वो night sky को जैसे हम पहले देखते थे, it is like different from with the technology. So, but I would like to know your personal experience. Is there something irreplaceable about good old-fashioned stargazing?
I mean, there is the stargazing, the good old fashioned stargazing that is irreplaceable.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I heard somewhere that humans are like one of the, if not the only, but one of the species who can lie on their back while sleeping. So you
Mm-hmm.
can imagine some guy lies on its back and wakes up at night and sees this beautiful sky, whereas
Yeah.
any other animal, a monkey even sleeps in a different way, or like obviously other mammals like horse or a cow, they don't often look up. It's the humans that look up and start to wonder about the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are made of the same stuff that the entire universe is made of. So in
Mm-hmm.
Carl Sagan's words, it's like universe is trying to discover itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think evolutionary basis, basically, uh, humans are rewarded to find pattern and find something that is beautiful. So everything that we conceive as beautiful, that
Mm-hmm.
is because of either geometry or some kind of a pattern or some kind of recognition.
That is true.
So these stars might, I think for sure would have played a very crucial role in
Mm-hmm.
the development of our civilization. That is why when we look up, we are like so awestruck and we are so fascinated by it. So I think it's definitely irreplaceable. And in terms of AI that's coming into the astrophysics, so I think one of my teammates from my professor's team,
Mm-hmm.
he was working on some kind of AI that could like recognize the elements in the emission for him. So he was working on it. But yeah, there would be always that human element of ingenuity and imaginative processes. So I think that would always be there.
So if you have to choose the AI or the tech version or the old-fashioned way of looking at night sky, what would you choose for your own observations?
For observations,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, I personally would choose night sky observation. Obviously, that's like really interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
when you go into the fields and when you start working, then
Mm-hmm.
you need some kind of AI to, like, even if you're observing through a telescope,
Mm-hmm.
तब आपको चाहिए होता है कि वो टेलीस्कोप का मिरर अच्छे से एडजस्टेड हो, राइट, so
Yeah.
that you can see a clear picture. So for
Mm-hmm.
that you would need AI.
Okay.
So I think I would keep like both things in my, like,
Both the worlds.
दोनों लड्डू हाथ में रखना
Okay.
चाहूंगा.
मैंने ये दो एस्ट्रोनॉमर से पूछा एंड दे वर लाइक आई स्टार्ट विद द ओल्ड फैशन वे कि मैं देखूंगा सबको समझूंगा बट देन आई रिलाई ऑन टेक्नोलॉजी बिकॉज नाउ आई हैव टू क्रंच द डेटा एंड आई हैव टू यूज इट या बेटर आंसर गुड आंसर So, Anirudh, I have seen your post and regarding your school workshops and science communication, and they're always so uplifting, and especially for students and early career researchers, and even for people who are not from astronomy like me. Even I stumble upon things and then I Google it more, but मुझे काफी चीजें तुम्हारे post से समझ आ जाती है. Okay, the guy is talking about this thing, and then if I have to go in deep, I go to either YouTube or Google it. So, if someone who's just starting out in astronomy or they want to go into the field of astrophysics, ki हमें पूरा start करना like basic से, they can be from physics background and they can be some from some other field as well, like
Yeah, for
even
sure.
from an earth scientist, कि उसे अब astronomy में transition करना है. So, what advice would you give them? कि you can start from these things, like these are the basic steps, and then you can go on.
I mean, as I did not have a concrete plan for
Mm,
myself.
mm,
But if I had to advise someone, please be careful about your basics in mathematics, because if you're not, uh,
mm,
you will have to eventually learn them, and it's better that you do it right now. So that is one piece of advice. Other than that, I would tell all of the students or all of the people who are trying to get into the field
mm,
that there were facts and there were theories that I already knew, right? मुझे पहले से
mm,
पता था कि what Newton did and what Einstein did. मेरे
mm,
को ये सब पहले से पता था, but the insights that I got after realizing some stuff, after like looking at the same equation like over and over and over,
mm,
those insights have really deepened my understanding. So if I'm working with that equation now,
mm,
I know what it actually says, right? So I think that would be really great to start thinking about the normal stuff that you study in a
mm,
deeper way.
mm,
So, like, if you listen to some kind of a law of motion, or like the laws of motion of Newton, or the law of universal gravity of Newton,
mm,
so if you just listen to them, don't take it for just the word that he's giving. Like, there is a statement and
mm.
then there is a deeper understanding. So,
Hmm.
go for the deeper understanding, and that would help you a lot.
Okay, so initial step पे ही you have to dig deeper कि पूरा ढंग से ही मुझे समझना, like you can't
Yeah,
just.
I mean, that would also like spark curiosity in your head. Okay, if
Hmm,
that means this,
hmm,
what else am I missing? So, for example, like Newton's gravity is, I mean, Newton was a very secretive person, right? So, he did make up stories like the apple fell and I discovered gravity. But that was not the case. And what he did was way, way more intricate than that. He gave us the law of universal gravity. It was not just that the apple is falling on Earth, it
hmm.
was also that moon is also falling towards Earth, right?
Yeah.
So he did this imaginative thing where he imagined like a cannonball is fired and it does this kind of projectile motion.
Hmm,
And if he fires with enough velocity,
hmm,
the projectile would go around the Earth and come back. And he imagined maybe the moon is doing the same.
hmm.
So that is kind of the understanding that he had. And maybe if we start to think in that way, we will be much closer to our goal.
Is correct. Yeah, मतलब you can't simply see things कि okay apple गिर रहा है तो there is gravity, but you have to
Yeah,
actually look at the broader picture कि वो
exactly.
क्या रहा है. Okay. So, do you suggest any like YouTube videos or any books to begin with?
Yeah, for sure. Like, there is obviously, like, if anyone does not recommend you this name, I think he's missing out. So I think everyone in physics field would recommend you Feynman lectures, right? So
Yeah.
Feynman is considered like one of the greatest teacher of ever.
Yeah.
And if you go watch his lectures, they are funny, they are
Mm-hmm.
insightful, and they are very knowledgeable. And he gives you insights that you like were not expecting,
Mm-hmm.
even in maths, even in geometry. And like obviously those were part of his lecture. He did not specifically give out a lecture on geometry.
Mm-hmm.
But even when he talks about some part that is not exactly physics but a part of maths, he
Mm-hmm.
still tries to give you an understanding that you wouldn't get anywhere else. And otherwise also I would recommend, there are multiple channels. There is one really good channel like Science Asylum, and what that guy does is tries to explain very accurately. Like, it's one thing to get a nuance and the other to get exactly what the theory is saying. For
Yeah.
example, there are paradoxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of things there are paradoxes, like a time travel paradox or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, and their paradox are existing in these theories as well.
Yeah.
So if there is a paradox in a theory, means
Mm-hmm.
we are either interpreting something wrong or we have some kind of a wrong assumption.
Sure. Yeah.
So what that guy is doing currently, and I
Mm-hmm.
think he's actively making these videos, what that guy is doing is basically giving you the very accurate picture of what's happening. If Einstein's relativity is at work, what is
Mm-hmm.
exactly happening? So what assumption got wrong? So I think if you go watch that, or some other YouTuber like I mentioned, Vsauce or Veritasium, there is
Mm-hmm.
Minute Physics, there is Action Lab. So they have such beautiful examples, such beautiful analogies that
Mm-hmm.
you will eventually start to, if you are not already into science, you will get into science
Get
and you
into
will
that.
start to look for more stuff to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you are already in science, you will get to understand a lot better.
That is true. Well, this is my personal suggestion. The way you explain things, you should have your own YouTube channel for this. It
Yeah, I'm
will
considering
blow.
it.
Yeah, it will go viral. Seriously, the way you explain things now, matlab, ek to, I have seen the videos you are suggesting, and what I have realized they are in English. And जो मेरे साथ भी problem होती है कि जो मेरी audience है, they want the videos in Hindi. तो एक like Hindi English mix अगर कोई channel होगा, there will be a lot of audience. And if
Thank
you
you.
start the YouTube channel, I'll be the first subscriber.
I'll send you the link. The first person I'll send the link would be you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, to wrapping up the conversation, my last question for you is, so for every stargazer, there is an unforgettable moment. कि okay, this is night sky. जैसे मेरे लिए था कि जब मैंने first time night sky देखा, I was in my bachelor's, like first or second year maybe, and उस time I went for a space camp, and हम लोगों ने वहाँ पे night sky देखा, उन्होंने एक एक constellation हमें explain किया. So that was my moment. Okay, I am connecting to like the astral sky. And then second was in Ladakh, जहाँ पे मुझे actually दिखा Andromeda. So what was your moment जब तुमने night sky देखा, and you feel like okay, I'm a part of this whole big picture, and I'm a part of this big universe, and maybe changed your perspective, or maybe changed the moment, or maybe did something to you? Like what was that moment, or what was the that first experience when you experienced the night sky?
So I think I was either in seventh or eighth standard when I got to see the night sky first, and I feel very lucky for that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was basically an astronomy club in our school. So like it was some organization doing it, and they were collaborating with our school to like get the students into astronomy and stuff. So first, what they did was they put forward a evening session in the school itself,
Mm-hmm.
and in that session I observed like the rings of Saturn, and I got to look at other like objects like Jupiter and Venus. Venus I could see with my naked eye, and with telescope also it was kind of okay, but when I looked at like the rings of Saturn, it was like wow, I can actually see that. And even after that, I actually remember the entire thing, the entire bit that the teacher did. But
Mm-hmm.
what I remember the most was that the teacher who was there, she was basically explaining what star is where, and she kind of pulled out a laser pointer pen and she kind of pointed at that star, and I was like, what kind of laser is this that's going so far away? and and now when I do science communication, I have that same kind of a laser. And it's really interesting the way these teachers who were like kind of working where I want to work or where I am working right now, they enabled me to watch this night sky, and it was like one of the best, like whenever I had a class in that astronomy club, it was like one of the best memories of my childhood.
Now you have mentioned कि 7th standard में तुमने देखा. I have seen sky like when I was in school as well, but मेरा ध्यान इतना कभी नहीं गया. I remember I was in like nursery or maybe KG, and we went to a school picnic to Nehru Planetarium, and मेरे parents भी मेरे साथ थे, like because nursery के थे तो सबके parents के साथ थे, and we saw that पूरा thing. I don't remember what it is called when you get into that cave and वो पूरा तुम्हें astro sky दिखाते हैं. I have zero memory of it, honestly, and my parents are like, तुमने first time ना उस time देखा था, you know, तब से तेरे मन में curiosity हो गई. I'm like, I have zero memory of it. So when I saw the night sky when I was in school and all, but मुझे अच्छा लगता था देखना, but मैं उस तरह से relate नहीं कर पाती थी कभी कि okay, you know, this is something big, or this is, yeah, I am a part of it. But you were able to do that in your 7th standard, which means a lot. You are born to be an astronomer and astrophysicist, honestly, and you are in the right field as concerned as STEM education or science communication, because you explain things very beautifully. And I'm so happy to do this interview with you, because I have been meaning to talk to you since like 3 or 4 months ago, when my friend suggested me that, you know, he's the best astronomer in India. You know, the way he explained things to students, even my students want to go with him. And because he's also a physics educator, and he was like, you know, he's the best person when it comes to astronomy or astrophysics. वो बहुत अच्छे से explain करता है. He'll be the best person for the AADYA Geo Talks as well. I'm like, okay, I have to get this person right, and finally we are doing it. And I'm so happy that I have connected with you on LinkedIn, and I'm actually happy because you respond to people. Because what I have seen, like, इतना ज्यादा नहीं, but majorly मैंने अच्छे लोग ही देखे हैं LinkedIn पे. Because when you ask questions on LinkedIn, when you go out कि okay, मुझे ये help चाहिए, वो help चाहिए, people actually respond. So ये मैं अपने students को भी बोलती हूँ कि जितना हो सकता है LinkedIn पे network करो. This is a really good time, and early career researchers like us or professionals like us, they actually respond to queries कि okay, तुम ये कर सकते हो, तुम वो कर सकते हो, and we are always happy to help. So networking is the thing which I suggest to my students कि तुम बात करो. Maybe, you know, you never know कि कौन सा door कब open हो जाए, and you end up in this field. And so happy to have you on board for this.
Happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And to all the audience, I'll link the in the description. I'll link Anirudh's LinkedIn profile, so you can reach out to him anytime you want, and you can ask all your astronomy related questions. And the videos he has suggested on YouTube and the talk shows he has suggested, I'll link them as well in the description. So thank you so much. यहाँ तक देखने के लिए, thank you so much, and we'll be back with another episode of AADYA Geo Talks. Thank you so much.